Oh, it's not letting me play it. Okay, because I've gone on to the free version again because, yeah, my subscription part expired. So how are you all? I hope you're all doing really well. We've got a bit to talk about. Hello, Christine. I want to talk about the Meliisa Caddick inquest that's going on at the moment. A coroner is trying to work out what on earth has happened to her. I've just noticed that my title on YouTube is not the title that I've got on my stream here. So let me just change that. I want to look at a few other little things, bits and pieces. I've got some debunking to do as always. It's just another day in the office. Plus, I've had some YouTube excitement. Some Twitter excitement. And yes, and I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm okay. Also, we've also got to talk about John Barilaro. And look, Katie Joy has been somewhat a little bit quiet of late. I'd say that she had the brakes put on her stuff, but she's still posting a lot of weird stuff on her stuff. But there's a police report that Unirock was going on about today, and I was watching Erin's channel. Hello, Osbel. I was watching Erin's channel today, and she picked something up, and I've picked up another observation from it as well. So I wanted to look at this document and tell you what my thoughts are on it. So I've got a million tabs open, so we're going to way through the tabs, and hopefully we can have a great live. So if you're not on Twitter, I don't know. Hello, Cal. I did a video very briefly yesterday about how I was accused of, I don't know. It's funny because I thought I was being accused of screenshots, but apparently they're not screenshots. I don't know what I was accused of, but I was accused of something, and I would have thought that if I'd done something that I would have actually known exactly what it was that I was supposed to have done. I thought it was supposed to be screenshots, but apparently there wasn't. Watching Games of Thrones for the 5th time. I was watching the AFL, but I was wanting Brisbane to win, and unfortunately Geelong is kicking their butts, and so I've had to turn it off because I couldn't bear it anymore. I don't know what the title is. So on my YouTube it's saying Unirock's abuse dropkick. I mean, I'm still convinced he is, but I want to talk about Meliisa Caddick. I want to talk about well, that was going to be my other thing. I want to talk about Bruz. We also want to talk about, so Investment New South Wales boss Amy Brown has stepped down from her role. She's doing another role. So I'm wondering whether she's left that role before before the bus drove over her. And oh yes, I thought the brakes were put on Jordan using the accent. Obviously, he got cleared. Yes, obviously he got cleared. Obviously he got cleared. Unirock debunking. I'm going to put from Erin's stream because it's her stream that I saw it on. I watch a lot of people's streams. I watch a lot of stuff. Although the person that accused me of doing stuff, I actually have only watched 2 videos on their channel, and they were the 2 videos they did of me. We're going to get through that, Christine, because it's very interesting about the foot. There was today, the inquest heard that there was a ping from the phone at the airport. There's also been allegations that maybe the husband was involved. There's been all sorts of things thrown around. The other thing is that they believe the foot was only in the water for 2 to 3 weeks. I actually have a week's worth of articles to go through. And the other really interesting thing is that it took 30 hours for her husband to report her as missing. Is that odd? Do you think if your partner was missing for 30 hours that you wouldn't do something about that? Hello, Grant. How are you? I'm still working on all the stuff that you've given me, but so let's have a look at this Meliisa Caddick stuff. Some of this will be in order, some of this won't be. As I said, there's allegations that. So this is. I'll just show you what Google. So when you put in her name in Google, you've got here. Tossing pig carcasses into the ocean was considered during the husband may have helped Meliisa hide. His husband thought that she would. So they're doing. Caddick's husband welcomes police with a smile. Police spent 14 minutes. So there's a lot of stuff in here. Cop thought husband's fraudster was faking it. So there's a lot of stuff in here. I can't help but wonder, this is my own speculation, that maybe she has hidden and her husband has helped us. But let's have a look and see what the media is reporting, because, you know. So this was yesterday. So this is the ABC from yesterday. So it says Meliisa Caddick's husband told police he thought she might reappear. If I don't answer my phone for 30 minutes, because my kids and sends a search party sizzles bell. Caddick disappeared from her house in 2020, hours after the raid of Affliate. Detective Sergeant Michael Kinnear told the officer in charge of investigation in the initial stages spoke with her husband on November 24th. He told the inquest he was aware colleagues observed Mr. Caddick as being evasive, vague, and inconsistent. He told the court he suspected Mr. Caddick was not being full and frank with the police. While he didn't think Miss Caddick had been murdered, he was of the view she may have either self-harmed or had been hiding at home with assistance from her spouse. Today he was quizzed about his approach during the November 24 recorded interview, and he read out parts of the transcripts. All right, where do you think she is? He asked Mr. Caddick. I have no idea where she is, Caddick replied. But if she's going to turn up somewhere, Friday the 27th is going to be the day she'll rock up, he tells officers, adding that was for a court day. Detective Sergeant Kinnear asked why Miss Caddick hadn't contacted Mr. Caddick. Because there's no need to. Do you think she wants to deal with the beep storm I'm dealing with? Mr. Caddick suggested she might have been staying in a low-budget hotel. She could have had a fair wad of cash under her bed, for all I know. Detective Sergeant Kinnear told the inquest he was left with the impression Mr. Caddick had information about Caddick's whereabouts. He was also asked by junior counsel assisting Louise Coleman why a crime scene was not established sooner than December 2. He denied that he had dismissed the idea of establishing one, but had said that he was relying on information from colleagues who actually attended and hadn't found anything. If a murder took place within a short period of time, there'd be some evidence, blood or otherwise. That would have been obvious to attending police. As I understood it, the house was pristine. The court has heard that Miss Caddick was flagged in a risk assessment soon after reporting. Mr. Caddick appeared with police on November 20 and they conducted a search of the 3-story home, and it lasted 14 minutes. Yes, I saw that interview with Sel. That was pretty cool too. So the inquest also heard that Caddick did not want to attend the police station or have officers around to his house because he had too much work on. Sergeant Riley phoned Mr. Caddick himself and told the court there was confusion over what time he'd seen Miss Caddick. He told, I thought it was strange. There were 2 different times provided. Mr. Caddick has also told police he'd been checking nearby cliffs himself, but not called police. And another point, he claimed he didn't think she was missing. I thought it was extremely strange. He contacted Miss Caddick's closest friends, but didn't let them know she was missing, and gave a description of her clothing despite not seeing her leave the home. So it's very, very weird. So this is interesting. The expert has said that it was unlikely she chopped off her own foot. So we'll look at this one. So this was day 1 of the inquest. So it's up to a coroner to decide whether she's murdered, whether she's self-harmed, whether she is in hiding, or whether she's done a Harold Holt and she's just disappeared. So an expert report suggests it's unlikely Meliisa Caddick amputated her own foot to stay appearance. So on the opening day of the inquest, orthopaedic surgeon David Luntz was asked to provide an expert opinion on how the foot became separated from the body and the possibility of self-amputation. According to his report, it would be extremely difficult for a non-medically trained person to do this or amputate someone's foot. So the junior counsel assisting told the court that it was Dr. Luntz's opinion the process would result in significant blood loss and create a very high risk of infection. It would create the need for a prosthetic, the court heard, and any prosthetist who was consulted likely would have raised questions about the wound. Having regard to that evidence, Your Honour, may form the view that it is very unlikely that Miss Caddick amputated her own foot, with or without the assistance of a non-medically trained individual in order to stage her disappearance. Earlier, the inquest heard the autopsy couldn't determine if the washed-up foot was separated as a result of decomposition or force. So the DNA analysis confirmed the foot belonged to Miss Caddick. It was not determined; they weren't able to determine how the foot became separated. He said the date and place of Caddick's death are subject of significant uncertainty and flagged the possibility of the inquest resulting in an open finding. Forensic psychiatrist performed a retrospective assessment based on medical records, witness statements, and police assessments, and concluded that Caddick didn't have a diagnosable mental health condition when she disappeared, but likely would have satisfied the criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. Mr. Downing foreshadowed evidence from friends who observed Miss Caddick to be under significant financial pressure in 2020. The court heard that during walks to cliffs, she once remarked, if I'm going to end it, it's going to be here. She also made a separate reference to being found at the gap for all too much. The inquest was also played police on body camera showing Miss Caddick's husband, Anthony Coletti, speaking with 2 officers about a day after he claimed to have last seen her. He tells police she was shaken by the acid rain on their home and had no money, bank cards, or keys with her. You could imagine we've worked very hard for what we have. It's completely out of character for her, Mr. Coletti said. He also described his wife as being resourceful. The inquest was told New South Wales police did not contact a crime scene examination of Miss Caddick's home or their 2 vehicles until 19 days after she was reported missing. And they heard Miss Caddick's relatives that have expressed concerns about how she was treated during the 12-hour raid. So they're going to talk about risk assessment. So anyway, that's that one. So this article, Caddick's husband welcomes police with a smile as he expresses concern over the welfare. As I said, I'm wondering whether she's not lying low. I don't know. This is what This is what I do my YouTube for, so that we can intelligently and have great conversations and debates about what's happened. So Meliisa Caddick's brother, Adam Gravely, and her mother, Barb, have complained to the coroner that their voice isn't being heard. The inquest into the disappearance and presumed death. So she's presumed dead. Their request to give evidence comes 4 days after allegations of the confusing and suspicious behaviour of Caddick's husband, Anthony Coletti. So Coletti's represented there by a lawyer. Judy Swan told the inquest the Grimleys would like to give evidence about the relationship between Caddick and her husband. The missing fraudster most likely committed suicide is the conclusion arrived at by both the lead detective examining her disappearance, as well as an experienced homicide detective who reviewed the investigation into her disappearance, the evidence the inquest heard. The evidence comes as a body cam footage released of her husband, and Coletti smiling as he welcomed police to the family home on the day he reported her missing, as an officer expresses concerns about Coletti's statement to police. So homicide detective Sergeant Stephen Morgan told the inquest into Caddick's disappearance and presumed death that in March 2021 he was asked to review the police investigation. Although Morgan notes recorded that an unspecified officer in charge held the view that Coletti had likely killed the deceased, the homicide detective was not able to identify who the officer was. So that's interesting. So the original homicide officer wondered whether he'd not topped his wife. That had crossed my mind as well. All these things. Morgan, Christine says I would have been smiling, not frantic. Well, I think I would have been too. I think his behaviour, is leading something enough crime shows now to know that, hey, the inquest showed that Morgan believed that the missing person is likely to be deceased at her own hand. The Eastern Suburbs Command Crime Manager, Detective Inspector Gretchen Atkins, denied telling another officer at the end of the first week's investigation that the theory that Caddick jumped off the cliff was so remote it was not worth considering. Instead, Atkins told the inquest, I wouldn't have been surprised if she walked into a police station, nor would it have surprised me if we'd unfortunately found her body at the bottom of a cliff. The inquest heard that by the end of the first week since Caddick disappeared, she felt there was only a 2% chance that Caddick's husband had harmed his wife. Atkins said she found Coletti scatty and confusing, and that their initial inquiries were hampered by Coletti's 30-hour delay in reporting that his wife had disappeared. 30 hours it took for him to report her missing. Atkins said it was difficult getting an accurate timeline of events from Coletti, as he gave 3 different times as to when he last saw his wife. These versions were that he'd not seen his wife at midnight, 4 a.m, or just before 6 a.m. There's a lot of confusion. So, forensics experts wanted to conduct an experiment involving pig carcasses, some of them with running shoes, to be thrown in the ocean to test currents and shark activity, the inquest was told. The inquest heard police were suspicious of her husband because of his invasiveness and inconsistent statements. Sergeant Trent Riley, who interviewed Coletti on November 13, the day he reported his wife missing, raised concerns about Coletti, saying he was sweating, evasive, vague, and inconsistent in his answers. Coletti told the detective that his wife was in good spirits the last time he saw her, and he couldn't understand why she would be missing. He initially failed to mention to Riley that his wife was the subject of a major probe or that their house had been raided the day before. Body cam footage from officers showed Coletti welcoming officers into the family home and inviting them to come on up. An officer tells Coletti, I am worried about where your wife might be, noting that Coletti had told him a different time from that which Coletti told another officer. I'm a bit worried. Your story seems to be chopping and changing. I need you to tell me everything, and I need you to tell me the truth. In the video, Khaledi tells police he's shaken and hasn't eaten for 3 days, noting about his wife, everything she has done has always been legit. Right. So this is from Mamma Mia. This is a blog. I think Katie Joy actually had an article on this blog site, just on a side note. It's funny, she always says that she did nothing wrong. So they've sort of summed it up. So I thought it strange that the husband would ring the police station, report his wife missing 2 days later, and wasn't prepared to come to the police station, or didn't want the police to go around and see him because he had too much work on that day. That's bizarre. Are we correct? So you can't be too careful these days, Khaledi said in the video. Down in the couple's cellar, Khaledi pointed that Caddick hadn't even had any grog. I was looking forward to New Year's Eve. Well, they plan to create. They're just looking at the suspicious behaviour of Khaledi, taking 30 hours to report his wife missing. So he takes the police down to his cellar and says she hasn't had any grog. On the upstairs deck, with the harbour bridge in the background, Sergeant Riley mentioned it was a good spot for New Year's Eve. I was looking forward to New Year's Eve, but I don't know now. Doesn't mean anything when you don't have the love of your life. Did you go anywhere last night? Sergeant Riley asked. Not that I know of, Khaledi said. Sergeant Riley repeatedly said he doesn't believe the part-time hairdresser and DJ is telling him the whole truth. Like I said before, I think there's something you're not telling me, Sergeant Riley said. I will tell you, I've been on this for a long time now, Khaledi responded. Solicitor Judy Swan, on behalf of Khaledi, pointed out that at the end of the search and interview, her client started to cry. They weren't real tears, in my opinion. I'm very confident they weren't real tears, Sergeant Riley said. He noted Khaledi gave 2 different versions of the last time he saw his wife and that she was in good spirits. Now, I understand if you're frantic because you've got somebody missing, that you may give inconsistent stories and be frantic, but he didn't seem to be frantic. Earlier, Detective Sergeant Michael recounted an interview he had with Khaledi while he was the officer in charge. Khaledi offered up a theory that Caddick was staying at the Meriton in Bondi Junction. It's quite a big spot for us in our early years. She could have a fat wad of cash stashed under the bed for all I know. She's resourceful. Her husband was initially suspected to be involved in the disappearance. They've sort of ruled that out. She had said that you will find me at the Gap if things got tough. They don't think she amputated her own foot. So that's what we know. So family of alleged con woman wants to be heard. So they want to speak, as we know. But as I said, it took 30 hours for the husband to, a week after vanished without a trace, public plea. So we've seen that one. Right. Now this is the one that's really interesting. This is Channel 9. This again, husband may have helped Meliisa Caddick hide. So they're saying that they thought that he may have helped. Does that amount to an offence on sorry. Detective Sergeant number 1 theory was that she'd voluntarily gone missing and was potentially being assisted by Anthony Khaledi. Does that amount to an offence on Mr. Khaledi's part? Jason Downing, SC counsel, assisting the coroner at Stackry. I had not turned my mind to that, she said. But 3 days after Caddick was reported missing, nothing gathered in police investigation pointed to murder by Caddick. So that's very, very interesting. This one is a report about. So they've got the body cam footage here. So let's see if we've got it. So they're really saying that the police sort of stuffed up. So here we go. Here.
Hey, Anthony. Yes. G'day, I'm Sergeant Riley. I'm the one who spoke to you on the phone. Yeah, coming up. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, mate, I'm just a bit concerned. Can we go upstairs and have a chat? Yeah. Oh, mate, I'm just a bit worried about where your wife might be, and I really need you to give me the full info about what's happened, because like I said, I'm worried. About everything. Because you told me on the phone that you last saw her yesterday at 5:30 in the morning, but now you told me my offside is here. No, it's midnight last night. It was. So today, now it's Friday. In the morning was when my boys saw her. Right. Because I asked you that 3 times. At 12 o'clock at night. I just worried because you didn't tell me that on the phone. I asked you 2 or 3 times. Look, I'm shaken. I haven't slept for days. As you can see, I haven't eaten for 3 days. This is all I've been working on. If I can help you, I'm here. Right. So when did you last see her? 12 o'clock on last night? Yes, that's Wednesday night. Wednesday night. Yes. So it's now Friday, so it was at 12 o'clock last night. Right. Okay. She's been gone 24 hours. Over 24 hours. What time did the police come here? The federal police on Wednesday? 6 a.m. Earlier, possibly. On Wednesday it was, and she's gone missing the next day. Thursday at 5. That's the last we saw her. I woke up close to 6. Everything that you need is on the video cameras to see where she went, whichever direction it is, and federal police have everything. So that's what's going to help you. I suggested up that way. I know that we go there a lot. She loves that spot. So if you want to cut off the bad stuff, I would check that. So it's Rodney Reserve straight ahead. Yes. What's the cliff? The cliffs, yes. Right. Okay. That's where we used to go. I've been there a few times since and checked. All day yesterday I checked. Like I said, she's her next.
So he knew she was missing, and he went and checked the cliffs, and then, as I said, waited for a lot longer to call the police.
Here at 5 o'clock, which I doubt she's going to make. She didn't even make her best friend meeting at 12:30. So you said earlier that you went into court this morning. Whereabouts? I had a phone. So we were both here. Yep. I was here at 6, or close to 6, and woke up, and she was gone. I come from upstairs, I probably got down twice. I was here, woke up at 6, and she was gone.
Have a look at the photo. I mean, look, have a look. You've got naked women portraits on the wall. How would you be sleeping with that in your room? Look.
At 6 o'clock yesterday. Midnight, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I know, I get it. Like I said, I haven't slept for 3 days. I haven't eaten, as you can see. It's been a very I think they're silver like that. They're not a shiny silver. It's like a pastel silver, like a shimmer. So more like probably this part of here. Yeah. But that's the sneakers that she's got on. She's gone for a walk. She's got those. She does that every morning. She trains and stuff like that. So you got to say yes. But like I said, I didn't think of it more, so I just thought, oh, she's gone for a walk. So she does. So it wasn't until I got back and I saw the phone sitting there on the floor, and I was like, so when did you contact the AFA about it? This morning. They were the first people I contacted because, like I said, they're the ones that know everything and they've got all the information. So if you need to get anything, you need to get it off them. They have everything.
House is very sterile for a mansion, isn't it? Or am I just living in a dream world that, you know, they would actually have homely furniture? It just looks very sterile to me. Miss, you have to assume the cops have more. You can buy data for starters if they want. It's only taxpayers' money. True.
Travels like to Melbourne to she's totally capable. If accounts are frozen, what can you do?
Like before when he said that stayed in the city, she's got appointments with journalists and stuff.
She's always stayed in there. Like I said,
In Bondi Junction or in the city?
Bondi Junction, right across the investments, like stayed there. Like, that's how it goes. This is better than Harrison, huh? Well, it is, but this was pre. This.
Oh, look at the views!
Good for years. Oh, really? I wasn't looking forward to the New Year's this year, but I'm not so sure now. Like I said, it doesn't mean anything. You don't have to.
Oh, what a house! This is what it says. What you get. So, what are your thoughts, people? What are you thinking? Gonna leave. Okay. So anyway, there we go. And there's just some more. Oh, I need to leave before I say something I will regret. Oh, okay. So it's a 2-week inquest. So the husband's gonna give evidence and the parents. But yeah, it's definitely very, very interesting stuff. But as I said, now the other thing is, this is from Channel 9, that apparently there was a data ping from the airport. So, did she actually make it to the plane? Is the question. And is she hiding? So, the officer in charge of investigating Meliisa Caddick's disappearance said data taken from her phone indicated it was potentially at Sydney Airport the day after she went missing. Detective Sergeant Michael Fassosa told an inquest on Friday that he took over the case more than a week after she was reported missing. He said he discussed lines of inquiry with his team to follow up some, including obtaining Miss Caddick's toothbrush for a DNA profile and some data checks on her phone. Apple data raised questions as to whether someone was trying to externally access her account, he said. There was also following up a potential PIN data point at Sydney Airport on November 13 at 12:45 a.m. found on an Uber account. It is not known yet what the police officers found after investigating this data point. So, Detective Sergeant Fassola replaced Detective Sergeant Michael Kenya on November 23, as the investigation might benefit from a fresh set of eyes. So the last verified sighting of Meliisa Caddick was on November 11, 2020. So many people scammed by the con woman were only made aware she was missing when they saw the media appeal for her whereabouts, or that their nest eggs may be in peril. I saw nothing, so they did a forensic search of the house. They found nothing. So the subsequent searches of the cars also indicated nothing. So Cicaletti will give evidence on September 26. However, if those were bullying her, who were they looking for? Yeah, I don't know. So you really try to tell people, well, yeah. Good night, Cal. It looks like Geelong's made it into the granny. Don't like Geelong. Sorry to those people that support Geelong. So that's what we've got so far from the Meliisa Caddick inquest. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on all of that? Oh, the other thing is, don't ask. Yeah, don't ask. The other thing is apparently her life insurance covered suicide. Atkins said the alarm bells included the long delay in reporting and no subsequent sighting. Revealed Caddick had life insurance policy that covered suicide. So, yeah. And there was the concerns that they've had was that there was no CCTV footage collected or reviewed either. So they don't know. That wasn't followed up. Don't ask what I think, Grant. Is that right? Well, I'm just glad that I'm not the coroner. Let me just say, I don't know how you're going to. I don't know how she's going to get through that. Okay, let's get on to something totally different. John Barilaro. John Barilaro. The Bruz man himself. There was an internal, the Premier set up an investigation into the conduct of Stuart Ayres. And surprise, 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 it has shown that Ayres did nothing wrong. The former Trade Minister, Stuart Ayres, may have been cleared of any wrongdoing in the John Barilaro trade saga, but his exoneration does not help but create more political pain. So remember, Stuart Ayres stepped aside. I think he was told to. While the investor, was told that he had to resign because it didn't look very good. The investigations come about, and now has cleared him. So here's what does he do? It says the Premier is now left with a impossible task: reinstate Ayres to cabinet or keep him on the backbench and ignore the finding that his former deputy leader did nothing wrong. Both options come with a significant risk. Of course, he did nothing wrong, says plan to create. I said surprise, surprise. Now, the interesting thing is that the focus now has shifted into the Agent General role in London. But if Perrottet brings Ayres back into cabinet, it will breathe new life into the Barilaro appointment, which is sort of like disappeared at the moment, gone quiet. Regardless of the findings of the esteemed barrister, Bruz McClintock, heirs will remain tainted by the trade scandal in the court of public opinion. Voters, as public polling has revealed, the appointment of Barilaro as a classic job for the boys. The damage has been done. Labor would already be planning its campaign material for Ayres' seat of Penrith, the Liberals' second most marginal seat, to which the ALP wants to seize at the March election. Parate's most senior public servant, Michael Coates-Trotter, made it clear in the budget estimates last week that he was preparing the groundwork to sack Amy Brown, the bureaucrat ultimately responsible for appointing Barilaro. Brown will be the sacrificial lamb, but that does not blame. Voters expect elected officials to be held accountable, not just public servants. In terms of procedural fairness, Ayres is entitled to demand his cabinet job back, given he was cleared by the very review that was instigated by his cabinet. Insists this precedent was set when former Arts Minister Don Harwin was allowed back into the ministry in 2020 after a fine he received for breaching COVID isolation rules was torn up by the court. The Harwin incident, however, did not drag on, nor did it politically harm the then leader Gladys Berejiklian. Perrottet will not want to strip ministers of portfolios, so the likely outcome is that the Premier waits until he does his final reshuffle before the March poll, where he will shape his team to take on the election. Ayres could come back as a junior minister, such as Western Sydney. So then there's this one. So if he refuses to rule out an Ayres return, so this was his statement. I welcome public release of the report. The report is unequivocally clear that I acted in accordance with the Ministerial Code of Conduct. It makes clear that I acted lawfully, honestly, and had no conflict of interest. As the Premier described it to me after I was presented with a copy of the report, it is an emphatic exoneration. I have said consistently that I acted in accordance with the Ministerial Code of Conduct and that the recruitment decision was made by public servants in accordance with the law. This position has been supported by both reviews conducted by Mr. Head and Mr. McClintock. So, yeah. So apparently he didn't. Although the head review said that I noted highly irregular actions by Mr. Ayres, including placing the person on a candidate shortlist, but stopped short of answering the question about whether he failed in his obligations as a minister. So, but apparently, according to the review, he didn't do anything wrong. For me, he doesn't pass the pub test. So, yeah. I knew Amy Brown would be the scapegoat. Yes, well, she had already stepped down from her. It was shown in estimates that they were paying her $600,000 a year to do 2 jobs. And she stepped down. They stepped her down from 1 job, and they were paying somebody else. So it was costing them $750,000 a year to have 2 people to do the job that she was doing. So it's really bizarre. This has been a big fiasco, if you ask me. So, all right. Well, of course, Amy Brown was going to be the scapegoat. I mean, you couldn't expect the politicians to take the blame, could you? All right. All right. Now, I saw this on EKC People Sucks channel, and I saw this came from down the rabbit hole channel, and Unirock has been jumping over this. Now, everyone's getting excited, but I don't know that there's anything to be excited about, because somebody has, for me, I read it as if somebody has made a complaint. It's now sitting on someone's desk to see whether they're going to action it. That is my take on this. And there's a couple of very interesting signs, and EKC, if you haven't seen it, she's picked up on a couple of little things, but there was something that stood out to me that I want to point. So this has all been, it's an international donation scam, it says interdonation scam. Savannah Police Department, the date, it was reported 2027, so let's take all of that out, and the officer that took the report. The assignment customer service desk. All right, so it's somebody at the customer service desk. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. There's 5 pages, but there's only 2 showing, of course. Now, here's the first thing that stands out to me. It says, so-and-so emailed HQ regarding internet donation scam. So this complaint has come about via an email that somebody has sent. The incident occurred over the internet, but the suspect's last known address was, and that's redacted, stated the following via screenshots and email. It was reported via email. Meliisa Bias was looking for donations to help with getting a lawyer for visitation to see her son. She stated if person didn't want to contribute to GoFundMe, she gave her Cash App account. So far, that is my understanding. That is correct. Now, this is where we're starting to get very interesting. On the 7th of the 9th, is that the 7th of the 9th or the 9th of the 7th? Because if that's on the... Anyway, donated $500 via Cash App. She requested a refund on the 14th. Letitia denied her refund and request for... expired on the 22nd of the 8th. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me. Redacted, also stated for ban, I was misled into donating to a fraudulent charity online that Letitia Bias was involved in. But the first part of the statement up here says, let me just make this bigger for you. I'll see if I can make this bigger for you. The first part of it says that she was looking for help for donations to see her son. Donate via Cash App. They could donate via, if they didn't want to donate via GoFundMe, that she had a Cash App available. Where in that statement does it talk about a charity? Hopefully you can see that. All right. So up here, it says redacted stated the following via screenshots and email. That Letitia Bias was looking for donations to help with getting a lawyer for visitation rights to see her son. She stated if a person did not want to contribute to GoFundMe, she gave a Cash App. Redacted also stated verbatim, I was misled into donating to a fraudulent charity online. Where's the thing about a charity? I requested my money back on the 24th of July. Okay. Well, and again, these dates don't match. It says that she requested the refund on the 14th and it was denied on the 24th. But this person says that they requested their money back on the 24th and she ignored me until I went public on the platforms she uses to scam people. She then promised me that she would refund me and still hasn't. I feel like this falls under laws of deception and would really appreciate a refund back or for her to be held accountable. There are plenty of postings Letitia has made, but she's mainly on YouTube account under Molly Go Lightly. Well, by that one sentence, they're trying to state that Letitia she's mainly on a YouTube account under Molly Go Lightly. They are implying that Letitia is actually Molly Go Lightly. And this is where I'd learnt to donate. I will attach the postings on YouTube channel Molly is a YouTuber that is collecting fraudulent donations for Letitia. Once I requested my refund, Letitia exposed that and my Facebook account, and Molly dots me on a YouTube live stream with over 2,000 people watching. And I received many death wishes and hateful messages. Update, earlier in the evening, the call came in from Arizona. So there's been a phone call as well. So there's 2 accounts now. This email. The young lady said she wanted to make a report for husband being a victim of a scam. After further talking, the caller mentioned the scammer as being Letitia Bias. She said she was the mother of. She stated she was the mother of a husband who was in coma. The wife was given the email address to customer service desk and to send additional information regarding scam. This concludes my involvement in the matter. Now, this is a report that a police officer would write. This then gets sent to a detective to determine whether there's anything in it. Now, this does not mean that anything has happened. I know people have said, "Oh, this is a cop, that she's been summoned or whatever." I don't know anything about that. I can only go by the information that is put before me, and this. Maybe somebody with law enforcement experience can tell me that this is actually just what a police. This is like when you're preparing a report for somebody and you've just taken the statement, you've jotted down all the information, and then that goes to the next person to see what they're going to do. There are so many there is so much contradiction in this first half here that if it was me, I'd be paying no attention to it, because it just contradicts itself. Now, I've also been reading that there are people saying that they think they know who it is. That's fine. I'm not prepared to stake a claim as to what I know, as to who I think I know who it is. But what I will say, that you can't say that you were misled to donating in a fraudulent charity when you've already know. Well, that's Plan to Create's right. We need to see what's on the other pages, because it says page 2 of 5, and only these 2 pages have been released. Page 1 of 5 and page 2 of 5. I want to know what's on page 3 and 4 and 5. See, this was printed at the 15th of the 9th, 2022, when this says on here, what date? The 30. Or this one's saying here that was reported on the 31st of the 8th at 2027, and it went through and it was approved on the 1st of the 9th. So again, we've got conflicting dates in our stuff. So anyway, so based on the evidence that I've seen, based on what we've seen there, I'm really, the 15th of the 9th, there we go, 1 of 5. I really don't know, but that's what it looks like, and it was reported on. Here's the thing: if it was reported on the 30th, all right. Here's my other question: if it was reported on the 31st of the 8th, that it was reported, then how do you know in September? So she's saying here that she donated on the 9th of the 7th. She requested it on the 14th of the 7th and declined. Oh, that's all right. I'll go back to my box. The refund expired on the 22nd of the 8th. Don't worry, I'll go back in my box. I just had a brain fade. It's not. It's July. Oops. Yeah. So, muck up sometimes. But anyway. I've not, as I said, the other pages haven't been released, and I would like to see what the other pages are, but capitulation is a word that is relevant. Yes. Well, as I said, from what we've seen, it's I've got more questions than answers. So That's all. Yeah. And Geelong beat Brisbane by 71 points, just in case anyone's interested. My dad won't be very happy. My dad will be devastated. He's a Brisbane man. The thing is, my issue with Geelong is they've been in so many final series and they never ever win. Like, it's like they waste a spot in the finals, and I don't really like it. So I was sort of hoping Brisbane was going to get in, even if Geelong are from the west. So anyway, so that is about what all I've got to say, except that I guess we are still just surrounded by all the everything that's happening in the royal family since the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. I have to say, I haven't watched much of it. I do like watching the marching, and I do like watching. I do like watching the marching. I have to say that. So I put up a QR code for my PayPal. Now, my PayPal, super chats and whatever all goes to the channel, but you do that knowing that that's that you're helping support me. I mean, that's a donation. There's a difference between donation and actually my partner predicted a Swanee Geelong grand final, believe it or not. He's in the sports industry. That's all right. Yeah, I can't remember what we talked about at the start. I can't remember. What did we talk about at the start? Oh, I think we started on Meliisa Caddick. I think. Yeah. But that's all right. But yeah, very interesting. So look, I want to thank you all for joining me. I will try and get on again. I was going to come on last night, but I fell asleep because I wasn't feeling very well, and I've woken up. It's hay fever, I'd say. It's hay fever. It's like stupid spring weather. So I work at the Royal Show from next Thursday, which is a public holiday, so it's public holiday rates. So I was very excited to find that out. I'll have a public holiday for anything. And of course, we in Melbourne have a public holiday, Victoria have a public holiday for sport, which I love. And we also have a public holiday for horse racing too. So, yeah. But, so thank you for everybody for your support. It's really good of you. Really appreciate it. And, sometimes when those days are bad and you've got people, it's the support of your supporters and members and subscribers that keep you going. So I want to thank you all for that. And until next time, I will catch you again later, and I'll speak to you soon. And so look after yourselves. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you just have a good one. And that's Friday night here, so tomorrow's going to be a weekend, and I hope you all have a really good weekend. Make sure that if I go to the show, I'll let you know. Thank you, Planter. Yeah, if you go to the show, let me know. I'm working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and I'm on from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. And it says I'm in the section called livestock. Now, I don't know whether that means I'm shoveling the poo. They haven't told me that. They've kept that one from me. I say just follow the smell, and you I can't laugh. Just follow the smell and you'll find me. I'll definitely let you know. But as I said, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are all penalty rate, so I'm not going to complain. Thank you, Your Majesty, for passing away, and so I can get a public holiday. So, yeah. And then it looks like I've got some work for the state election as well. We need to talk about that at some stage as well. Me on down the rabbit hole at the moment as well. There's a whole heap of stuff I'm working on, plus all my law stuff. So yeah, in the cow. Yeah, probably. I'm probably in the cow shed. Probably in the cow shed. I don't mind being. I wouldn't mind being in the animal nursery. I wouldn't mind cuddling some of those little babies, baby animals. Oh, I could do the baby and baby elephant work. Yeah. So anyway, sorry. As I said, I know I'm just rambling now. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all again next time. Hopefully my ending works, but I'm on the free thing at the moment. No, it won't let me. Okay, I'm going to just have to disappear. Bye for now.